What you're going to see in a minute is a video of Jacinda Ardern, I believe. She's one of Klaus Schwab's little babes, one of the collective of new leaders that's going to help fight climate change, help to fight the pandemics, etc., etc. And basically, with the help of other countries with leaders much like her, we'll go for Macron, we'll go for Canada, we can go for here if you like. And there are other countries that are more up on it. Take, for instance, obviously Australia. All of these leaders all sing off the same hymn sheet and get told what to say. But what you're going to see in a second, I ask you to watch the whole video, is her try and word salad the fact that they're going to take away free speech for our own good. And that the fight against climate change, how can we make these people believe it if there are people out there who are offering evidence to the contrary? The whole premise of what this woman's trying to gently put across with her endearing smile is that basically free speech is the enemy of what they're trying to do, because what they're trying to achieve is to get a global capitulation. What they want is the people out there like you and me to just give in and say, well, whatever they're saying has to be right because there's so many of them saying it that it must be right. They want the war on disinformation as much as we do, because if you actually go back through recent history, a lot of what they've said has been utter lies and millions have died because of it. Let's go to, say, for instance, the Iraq war, when we were all told that these weapons of mass destruction, they were all singing off the same hymn sheet. And we had only a few noble politicians in the UK speak out against it. And I believe that Robin, I can't remember his last name, I think it was Cook, but I'm not sure, Scottish MP, resigned on the eve of it. He knew what we knew, well, what we ended up finding out, I should say, that the weapons of mass destruction were no more than a load of rubbish, and that we went to war to take down a dictator that was oppressing his people and making his people misery because we wanted to do the right thing. Truth was that actually he was going to start trading his oil in something completely different than the petrodollar, and this could never happen. So he wanted to actually trade in the euro, but that's another story. And at the same time, then we went against Gaddafi because he wanted to trade in the gold dinar. We caused misery and destruction all across the Middle East, and we were saying we were giving them democracy when we were just bombing the living shit out of them and changing them from a new regime. We are seeing the outcome of what they've done now by the mass migration of people across Europe, and that was probably part of a plan. But the freedom of speech that we allegedly have, and us in the West allegedly have freedom of speech up until a point. The Americans have more freedom of speech because they have it built into their, is it the Second Amendment? I think one's the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. One's to bear arms and the other's freedom of speech. I can't remember which way around it is, but that's regardless. They want to remove this because at the moment there's awkward people like myself and millions others like me who are actually pushing back against the narrative because we simply don't believe it, all right? We know that climate change is nothing more than a grift. Now, I don't say that the environment is not being damaged by humans. I get that, okay? Especially the oceans, etc., pollution and so on and so forth. But to say that we're heading for a catastrophe with us all warming up, well, that's bollocks. The planet goes through this, it does its thing. But this woman, along with others, will find out new and other techniques to basically stop anybody who goes against the official narrative, because it's in our best interest. Now, some of you may remember that they were making out when the pandemic, scamdemic, call it what you fucking want, right? When that came about, we had a lot of us scared to death. I have to admit that for a few weeks I was actually worried, thinking, what if this is a thing? And it was when I started watching all those bodies being thrown into the back of a van in China, and then it never actually happened, that I got and it was so well coordinated, but then nothing actually happened. I didn't see anybody die. But then there's a doctor that's come out, and I'm going to do something on that soon. That's basically, he had the injection, his dad had the injection, his dad died. He was a cardiologist, I believe that's what you call it. And he's come out and he's gone through all the different doctors and everything behind the scenes and worked out exactly what this was all about with the massive push for vaccines and all the rest of it. And I will do something on that, but I'll get around to that. But going back to Jacinda, they will make it that they're doing the best thing for us by removing our freedom of speech. This isn't the first time this has happened, okay? But once it's gone, you won't get it back without violence. Now, I don't condone violence in any way, shape or form, but what happens in history, and history has a habit of repeating itself over and over again because we don't seem to learn from it, is we let lunatics in charge. They take more and more power and take away more and more from us. They then tax us heavily. They then remove things away from us like land, property, cars, all the rest of it is what they want to do now. But you go back to the past, they got greedy. And in the end, they made people's lives so intolerably miserable that they had nothing to lose. And it's at that part that the pack usually go mental and kill every one of them in the past. Now, I hate to say that where we're going is going to end up the same, but if history is anything to follow it by, then that's the worry. Now, I don't know about you. I don't particularly much look forward to the future with relish, because I know we've got incredibly hard times ahead, because a lot of people are going to get locked up for speaking out. That's just the way of it. And our lives are going to get infinitely more miserable. And we're going to get rationing and all these other things are going to come in, and they won't go away. But these people, these new youthful leaders that have come out of the womb of Klaus Schwab, shall we say, they hate you. They hate everything about you. You are something they fear, because they know what they're doing to you is wholly wrong, I should say. They know that they're acting on behalf of evil. They enjoy the evil, by the way, because it rewards them. If you have a look at any organisation that does well, you'll see in the background, or even in the leadership, that it's run by sociopathic, psychopath narcissists. They will have one or all of those traits. Tell me that these people who stand up and lie to us with a smile on their face, whilst knowing that they're hurting us, or worse, cannot be anything but that. Now, I'm going to play to you the clip of this woman. Watch it all the way through. Now, watch the subtleties, but if you can read through the subtleties, it's the war on free speech. And they're going to win the war. What happens when we can't actually speak to each other? When we can't actually say what we really think? Well, we know there's countries like that now. North Korea. We know that Russia used to be like it. We know that China's like it now. And this is exactly what they want to bring over here, because when you're doing something wrong, it's kind of hard to sell it. If they were doing something good, then freedom of speech would be a great thing, because people would do the sales for you. There was once a thing called a winning army needs no recruitment sergeant, or something like that. If a good thing is a good thing, it will pass through the public, and the public will promote it. But in the same breath, if you're doing something bad and we had total freedom of speech to say exactly what we wanted, then everybody would have called this one out and said, fuck you, I'm not doing it. Which is why they have control of the media. They're literally controlling our schools to brainwash our kids. They're controlling everything that you see. Have you ever noticed that, say for instance, I'll put a video up that's anti-Islam, and then the adverts after that will be pro-Islam? Have you ever noticed that your phone will start popping up with stuff you were just having a conversation about? We're already being monitored. I don't give a fuck, to be honest, because I know I'm doomed. I've said enough already to seal my fate, so I might as well just crack on. There's nothing else to lose now. But they are going to take that, and we're fucked. That's all I'll say. But you choose how you go out. You choose whether you keep quiet and hope that you're the last person they get to, or you decide to stand up and say your bit and fight the good fight. And I mean that metaphorically speaking, because there are some fucking retards that will be watching this going, he's calling for violence. No. Anyway, pub stream Saturday night. We've got some new ideas for the pub stream. Wasn't my idea. It was that Anna's actually, and Samface. But they sound like a good idea, and I'll tell you more about it Saturday night and see what you think. But there you go. This weekend, wallpaper stripping. Just so you know. Anyway, gotta go. I've got work on the phone. I'll see you in a bit.
This week we launched an initiative alongside companies and non-profits to help improve research and understanding of how a person's online experiences are curated by automated processes. This will also be important in understanding more about mis- and disinformation online, a challenge that we must, as leaders, address. Sadly, I think it's easy to dismiss this problem as one in the margins. I can certainly understand the desire to leave it to someone else. As leaders, we're rightly concerned that even the most light-touch approaches to disinformation could be misinterpreted as being hostile to the values of free speech that we value so highly. But while I cannot tell you today what the answer is to this challenge, I can say with complete certainty that we cannot ignore it. To do so poses an equal threat to the norms we all value. After all, how do you successfully end a war if people are led to believe the reason for its existence is not only legal but noble? How do you tackle climate change if people do not believe it exists? How do you ensure the human rights of others are upheld when they are subjected to hateful and dangerous rhetoric and ideology? The weapons may be different, but the goals of those who perpetuate them is often the same: to cause chaos and reduce the ability of others to defend themselves, to disband communities, to collapse the collective strength of countries who work together. But we have an opportunity here to ensure that these particular weapons of war do not become an established part of warfare. In these times, I'm acutely aware of how easy it is to feel disheartened. We are facing many battles on many fronts, but there is cause for optimism, because for every new weapon we face, there is a new tool to overcome it. For every attempt to push the world into chaos is a collective conviction to bring us back to order. We have the means. We just need the collective will.